Hello and welcome to Faith on Film. Glad you could join us today. Chip Rossetti has dedicated his career to making movies only in the Christian, faith-based, and family genres, and has written, directed, and produced 22 feature films in these genres. He has also developed multiple television shows and has 9 documentaries and 10 short and animated films to his credit. His first feature film, Fathers, was released in May of 2012 and is still selling worldwide. He followed that with a romantic comedy, The Accidental Missionary. Since then, Chip has worked on 23 feature films in various capacities, including In Gramps' Shoes, The Gospel Writer's Autographs, Gramps Goes to College, Where Was God, One More... Oh my goodness, I really need to stop reading all this, because if not, we're not going to have any time to actually talk to Chip. Chip, welcome to Faith on Film. You've got to be the hardest working producer-director out there, man. You've done so much work. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, in response to that, we've just, I chalk it all up to God. We've been incredibly blessed. He's given us opportunity after opportunity, and it is just really a testament to what can happen if you stay the course, if you do what he asks you to do what he tells you to do, and, deal with it and just keep plugging away.
Well, great, man. You know what? We want to hear all about how you even got started in filmmaking.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I started my company 20 years ago this year, and we did a lot of TV commercials and things like that. But it wasn't until about 10 years ago, 10 years ago, my family and I were in a horrible car accident in October after we had just come back from my brother's wedding. All 3 of my daughters were in the car. My wife was in the car. My youngest daughter and my oldest daughter had minor injuries. My wife, thank God, was fine, but my middle daughter ended up in ICU for 5 days and had to have emergency surgery for abdominal internal bleeding.
Wow.
I ended up having to have neck surgery. It was just a horrible experience. And I was working for a company at the time selling advertising. That was my day job. And they were fantastic with me. But they, after a while, it ultimately got to the point where I couldn't work, so they couldn't keep paying me. So after a while, we decided to part ways, and I was really incapacitated. I couldn't do a whole lot. I ended up down in my basement one day, and I found a script that I had written a couple years earlier, and I just sat down in my basement in one sitting, and I reread that script. I came upstairs, and I told my wife, I don't know why, but I feel like I need to make this movie. And she kind of chuckled at me, and she said, well, how are we going to make a movie? We don't have any money. And I said, well, how much money do we have? And she said, $1,521.21. So I said, well, then we're making a movie for $1,521.21. And about a year later is when it ended up getting picked up and came out a couple months after that. And that was it got picked up in February of 2012. And I remember saying, after I finished the edit, I said, God, I've never done a feature film before. I don't know what to do with this. And I said, but if you decide you want to do something with this, then this is all I'll do, and I'll make that promise. And he did, and I kind of didn't realize what I was getting myself into with that promise that I made, but I've made good on it, and for the last 8 years or so, I've stuck to it.
And so that's why you decided to stick to that Christian faith and family genre then?
Yeah, I mean, when you make a promise to God, He's going to hold you to it, and I've not strayed from that. I've had opportunities to do things outside of the genre, things that I wasn't certain I would be able to allow my kids to just sit down and watch, and that went against that promise that I made. So I've stayed away from that. Never done a horror movie. We've done some things that may not appeal necessarily to a younger audience, but there's nothing that I've done that I would be afraid to let my now 11-year-old daughter sit down and have on while she's in the room.
Well, I noticed that on your bio it said Christian and family genre. So technically, I guess those could be two different kinds of things. I mean, Christian doesn't necessarily have to be for the entire family, right?
Yeah, and family doesn't necessarily have to be on the nose Christian either. I think it's just stuff that I can feel comfortable that someone can have on their TV and walk away and not have to worry about anything that their kids are going to see. So that's been the criteria that I've set for myself as a writer and a producer, but also for projects that I've been hired on or been asked to be a part of.
Right, and you've done so many. Uh, you know, it just that's why I said you got to be the hardest working producer director out there. Most people, you know, have done one or two films at this stage of the game, and you've done how many did I say? It was like 20 something
I think
films.
it's I think right now we're at 22, and we
Wow.
just did we just completed one series. I'm in the process in post production on a mini series, and we're getting ready to shoot a micro series, and then we are shooting season 2 of our other series in the next couple months.
So, do you think that is that a new direction for you to go more into series as opposed to movies?
You know, I've always had a heart for features, and I still do, and I still like the idea of having movies in theaters, especially smaller theaters that need content. You know, that can't afford the big Hollywood stuff that's coming out. So I do still see value in being able to do that. But I think that with today's changing market, with the way that people are watching content, you know, and unfortunately there is a lower attention span in terms of how long people will stay with a particular storyline. You know, I think the idea of doing series and mini-series definitely has merit. And that seems to be where the market is turning right now. So if we as filmmakers don't change with the market, then we're going to get left behind.
Well, we're going to take a break right now, and I certainly want to talk about this series that you've produced. But before that, I do want to talk about a movie that you and I worked on together, all right?
Okay.
All right, well, folks, don't go away. We'll be right back with more with Chip.
Cell reproduction, more than duplication. It's careful selection and organization, ensuring the perfect balance for development and growth. Powerful, so is our programming. Parables, the leader in empowering entertainment. Parables. Be empowered. Start your free trial today.
Sight and Sound Theaters invites you to experience one of the most powerful Bible stories ever told.
Samson, you're going to deliver our people from the Philistines.
God gave him the strength to fight thousands.
Where does he get his strength from? Nobody's that strong.
But his greatest challenge will be living with his own choices.
Who are you?
Delilah.
We want you to find out the secret of his strength.
We will destroy Samson.
Playing in Branson for one last encore season. Get ready for a mighty adventure for the whole family.
You are my rock and my strength. Be with me today.
Samson, live on stage at Sight and Sound Theaters in Branson, Missouri.
I wonder how long a dolphin lives. I wonder if they can make cookies in space. I wonder when people started brushing their teeth. I wonder if people and dinosaurs ever lived together.
Want to find out?
I wonder how much a cloud weighs.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We're here today with Chip Rossetti, who again is a very hard worker when it comes to films. Chip, I mentioned before we ended the previous segment that you and I have worked on a movie together. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it just came out about a year and a half ago. I think was Turbulent. Which Rossetti Productions did in association with Parables. And, it was really one of those stories, like I was talking about in the first segment, that was just really intense and not necessarily appeals to, the whole family, but I think tells an amazing story and a story of survival and a story of faith. And, we were very fortunate to be able to partner with you guys to be able to tell that story.
Now, you have, of course, found a way to make movies for very little money. One thing about this movie was that the entire movie, aside from maybe a scene or two that had a couple other people, but the entire movie was basically two people for an entire movie, two people. And how did you come up with that story? How did you come up with that concept? Was it because you thought, well, I can make it for less money, or was there really something more that kind of propelled you to want to do this movie?
Well, I think two things. You know, oddly enough, I'm a fan of the movie Castaway, and I loved the fact that Tom Hanks was able to carry that entire movie for the most part by himself.
And a ball.
Well, yeah,
his co-star was a ball.
But secondly, I think that the story that I wanted to tell with Turbulent was the fact that I think we in society are so heavily influenced by everything that we have around us that I wanted to kind of see how someone's faith could be tested and influenced when they're isolated, when they don't have all this noise around them telling them what they should and shouldn't believe and what they should and shouldn't think, so that they could just sort of have an opportunity to examine themselves in a situation where they're not being influenced as much. And I think the Turbulent does a great job of that, because here's a couple that's stuck in the middle of nowhere by themselves who have nobody else to turn to but themselves and ultimately God for their survival. So they have no noise around them to influence them. It's just their own hearts and their own minds and ultimately their own faith.
And it's not just the survival, of their physical lives. Let's say it's not just that they have to survive this time that they're spending out there in the middle of the wilderness, but also the survival of their marriage, in essence, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's again is sort of a great undertone to the movie as well, is that it does really dive into the human condition in a lot of different facets. It's not just, like you said, it's not just physical survival for life. It's having to deal with a lot of internal turmoil that they say that 3 times fast, that they have to come to terms with when they're face to face with.
Now, I know there were several miracles that happened, you could say, not only previous to actually shooting the movie, but even during the shooting. Can you share maybe a couple of those with us?
Yeah, we had a big scene. There were a lot of them, but one of them, for example, is we had a big scene that took place in towards the end of the movie where there's just a torrential downpour, and we had a fire department that was out there, and they were putting they were just 9,000 gallons of water, I think they dumped on the little part of our set that time. And during this one scene, it was this rainbow appeared like right onto one of the characters, right onto one of the actors in the scene. And to me, it was just very indicative of what we were doing, because I felt like we were facing a lot of obstacles with every facet of that. Sometimes it was the weather, sometimes it was bugs, bees, a lot of things that we were having to deal with.
Yeah, I remember the bees.
Yeah, you're familiar with the bees, and there's a very funny video of you with the bees.
Yes, I know. But I'm not a big fan of bees.
No, and you showed that. But I think it was very evident that every time we started to doubt, some of what was going on, that God showed up and said, "No, just keep going." We had injuries that were sustained on the set by both cast and crew, and yet we still managed to plug along and finish on time and remarkably on budget, all things considered.
Yeah. One memory that I do have, actually there are two. One of them was that the hotel or motel that we stayed at, where most of it was being shot at, when I checked in, they gave me an actual key. I mean, it was not, the card key, it was an actual real key. And I thought, where did these come from? I'd never seen. So that was to me, that was kind of a cool moment, just to actually go to a hotel with a key. I know it means nothing to anybody else, but for me it was kind of cool. But the other one was, we were shooting in a cave. There was a small cave, and next to it was a larger cave, and it was gated. And one day I decided to go down there right to the gate and just kind of take a picture. And as the camera guy was taking a picture of me, all of a sudden these things started flying out. It was bats. I mean, just flying all past me, man. That was something that I will never forget.
Yeah, and that's what's really kind of cool. We've been very fortunate to find some really cool and locations. In those caves, for example, the cave that the bats flew out of is called Jesse James Cave, and that was actually where Jesse James had hid out, after he had robbed the Mammoth Cave stagecoach here in Kentucky. And the cave we shot in was called Slave Cave, and that was actually where they was part of the Underground Railroad, where slaves had actually hidden out as they were heading north.
I gotta admit, I had a lot of fun. How can people find this movie? Where can they watch it?
Turbulent right now is on a number of the streaming channels. It's on PureFlix. It's on Amazon. DVDs are on Amazon. Questar Entertainment is the distributor on it, and they've done a great job with it. So it's pretty easy to find if you want to watch it.
That's great. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the series that you're doing, also in partnership with Questar. But I got one quick question right now. How was it working with me?
Oh man, you know what? It kept me on my toes, and we had a lot of laughs. So I can't complain.
I enjoyed it. So, folks, listen, we're going to take another little break, and then we'll be right back to find out about this new series which Chip is working on. All right, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Only one university in the nation was chosen to demonstrate at the World Equestrian Games, and it's the only Christian university in the South offering an equine management major. Only one university produced the video leading into coverage for the Games, and it's the only university with students hired as part of a broadcast crew for 9 Olympic Games. One university, equipping students for a lifetime of leadership and service. Asbury University. Start here, impact the world.
Cell reproduction, more than duplication. It's careful selection and organization, ensuring the perfect balance for development and growth. Powerful, so is our programming. Parables, the leader in empowering entertainment. Parables. Be empowered. Start your free trial today.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We've been here having a great chat with Chip Rossetti. Chip, so okay, you've done all these movies, but now you've kind of transitioned a little bit more into episodic series, which, to be honest with you, I think is probably it's a great idea, because I think it's what people are being attracted to the most right now. They love to binge watch, and they love to just once they connect with the characters, they want to keep following them for weeks and weeks ahead. So you're working on one. It's very interesting, the whole concept of it. It's a little bit of a suspense, or mysterious, let's call it. Tell us a little bit about that. As a matter of fact, wait a minute. Before you tell us anything, why don't we watch a trailer, and then we can come back. You can talk about it, all right?
Sounds good.
Welcome to the Dream Motel. Is there anything else I can get you?
Who are you?
I'm Jesse, and I run the place. Room 147. The best room in a motel, if I do say so myself.
Why on earth would God bring me here?
God has brought you here to reveal something to you.
John,
That guy from the hotel.
there's no one there.
She can't hear me, and she can't see me either. What if you were given an opportunity to change your story?
Am I kidding? In a heartbeat.
And she called me an angel. That's right.
Is this?
This is your old self. This is your old life.
I don't know what to say.
But like I like to tell most of our guests, all things are possible at the Dream Motel. Y'all be careful.
Wow. That definitely looks like something I would want to binge watch on. Can you tell us how you got, how did you come up with that idea for this?
I was living in Indiana at the time, and I was driving up to Indianapolis with my family in the car because we were going to a film festival up there that one of my movies was in, and everybody in the car was asleep because we had left early in the morning, and I actually passed a old dilapidated motel that was on the side of the road called Dream Motel. And by the time I got to Indianapolis, I had this whole concept in my head, and I sat down and I wrote it all out before we went into the film festival. And it just kind of sat for about 4 or 5 years because, honestly, I looked at it as a feature at the time, and I realized I would never be able to end this. The concept, it would never end. It would just keep going.
Right.
So I started revisiting the idea about this time last year, and then in the summer of 2019, we decided we were going to in the summer of 2019, we decided we were going to push forward with it. No, the summer of 2018, we decided we were going to push forward with it. And we started shooting in December of 2018 and shot until July of 2019 and shot 10 episodes. People say, it's been called Touched by an Angel meets Quantum Leap meets Twilight Zone. I think that's a good description of it. It poses this idea that if you were given an opportunity to change one thing in your life that has affected you, or change one thing that you're about to do that's going to affect you, would you take that chance, especially knowing that other facets of other people's lives are going to change as well? So it really poses that question in each one of the episodes of season 1. And the response has been fantastic.
Now, you said season 1. That means I'm assuming you got a season 2 that you're thinking about?
Yeah, we actually we just got greenlit on season 2, so we'll start shooting in early April. We're going to be shooting 8 episodes for season 2. Okay. We're going to be shooting this one in Southern Illinois as opposed to in Kentucky. So what's kind of neat about the whole series is that it can kind of move around. It can each season can be in a different place, and every episode is its own story. There's one recurring character that carries from one episode to the next, and I think that's what really makes it unique and engaging, and why people have just really flocked to it. The reviews have been fantastic, and that's why we have the opportunity to continue telling the story.
Right. Now, I know that you're also working on another one, though. Did you already start shooting, or there's a different one that you're working on that's not the Dream Motel, right?
Right. We actually shot a mini-series back in November with one of your former guests, Kevin Sizemore.
Oh, yes.
And he played the lead in our End of Times 5-part mini-series called The Dark. And we're currently in post-production on that. Before we shoot season 2 of the Dream Motel, we're actually shooting a spin-off of The Dark called The Dark Forever Winter, which is going to be another 4-part, what we're calling a micro-series. So we'll shoot that prior to, and we just working on the casting for that and all that. So we're going to be shooting for March and April between Forever Winter and season 2 of the Dream Motel.
So do you ever vacation?
Yeah, my middle daughter is graduating from high school in May, so I decided that I wanted to front load the first half of this year, so I didn't have to be gone and travel all summer. So that's why we're doing that, so we can hang out, we can spend a lot of time with the family over the summer, and then we have some other stuff planned for the fall. So we're going to be staying very busy, and like I said, we've been very blessed to be able to have that opportunity.
That's great. So listen, if people want to follow you and just kind of keep up with what you're doing, where would they find you?
Specifically for the Dream Motel, you can go to thedreammotel.com.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have a huge presence on Facebook at Rossetti Productions.
Okay.
We just launched another page on Facebook called Rossetti Productions Casting, and that's where we're putting up all the casting notices and trying to kind of consolidate everything in terms of what people are looking for to find out about the things that we're doing.
Well, Chip, it's been fantastic getting to chat with you, and I look forward to hopefully one day being able to work with you on another movie or maybe a series. I don't know. I really enjoyed the time we spent, watching you at work. You have a very calm demeanor when it comes to directing. I don't know.
I've been blessed with 3 daughters, so if anything has ever happened, patience that has been probably my biggest virtue. But No, like I said, we would welcome it. We've got lots of ideas. We have lots of things we're going to be doing, and God has definitely blessed us, and we're excited for what the future holds for both Rossetti Productions and for, people and organizations that we partner with.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I know you're extremely busy. In fact, you've been editing, I guess, all this time. But thank you for taking these few minutes to share not only with me but with our viewing audience all about what you're doing. All right.
I appreciate what you're doing too, helping to spread the word and help the filmmakers do what they do.
Thank you, folks. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
I never realized how much work goes into taking care of horses.
You think that's hard? Try taking care of thousands of animals at the same time.
Go ahead. Think bigger.
Cell reproduction, more than duplication. It's careful selection and organization, ensuring the perfect balance for development and growth. Powerful, so is our programming. Parables, the leader in empowering entertainment. Parables. Be empowered. Start your free trial today.
I wonder how long a dolphin lives. I wonder if they can make cookies in space. I wonder when people started brushing our teeth. I wonder if people and dinosaurs ever lived together.
Want to find out?
I wonder how much a cloud weighs.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. I barely have enough time to remind you that you can write me today. Write me at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. I really look forward to hearing from you. And of course, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at faithonfilmtv. That's at faithonfilmtv. Remember, if you want to keep a good, healthy soul, make sure that the entertainment you feed it is healthy entertainment. Until next week, take care.